to convey to people, because the truth of the matter is it was a way of life at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, to begin with, we had the Depression. That was a way of life, and nobody complained about it because that's the way it was. Well, now when the war started, that literally was just a way of life.
Yeah.
Not a good way, but it was a way of life. So you might say that we experienced war going on there for quite a while. I would venture to say that some of these people in Vietnam would have more struggle to share with you than I have, because of the nature of what we did.
Yeah.
Somehow or the other, what I did doesn't seem like very exciting, except to us that experienced it. To us, it was to be able to fly a mission and come back. That was an exciting day to me.
Yeah. After you got home, did you ever miss anything about being in the military?
Did I what?
Did you ever miss anything about being in the military?
I still didn't get you.
Did you ever miss anything about the military?
Miss?
Yeah.
No, I really didn't. I never desired to go back in.
Yeah.
It was a part of my life that I was content. The interesting thing of it all is, I would be reminded, I'm speaking now as a Christian,
Yeah.
I've been reminded from time to time by God how He had watched over me and kept me alive. He reminded me of my that one bombing crash that I had. That was a major crash, and didn't blow up. And I often thought about it, and I thought, why did he could have kept me off that? Why did he allow me to go through a crash? He wanted me to know that He was sovereign over everything. If He didn't want a bomb to blow up, it ain't gonna blow up. It's that simple. Well, we're living in that day and age today. Everything is under His control, whether people realize it or not.
Yeah.
So, again, when you look at the overall, you might say that I was a fortunate person going through World War, and I'd have to agree, well, yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Somehow or the other, surviving doesn't seem to be as important as if you got killed. That's all I'm getting at. I had a cousin that got killed in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And he got killed by a sniper.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they experienced a different lifestyle than we did. Ours was sudden. And hard to describe how you can feel when you come back from a mission and you're done with it for another trip. To me, that's a great relief. Wow, we got back. Okay. Well, sometimes, one of them, not often, but one time we had 20 planes flying. And out of the 20, they shot down 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that gets your attention when you say, well, what happened to them? Well, the 3 that got shot down, you just don't see those guys anymore.
Yeah.
They don't come back. You know, when they get shot down over the target, that's where they are.
Yeah.
Whether they actually have found some of them again after the war, I don't know. Probably some.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of them, they never find them again.
Yeah.
So in that respect, yes, I've been a fortunate man. Very fortunate.
Yeah. So what were some of the things that you did when you were in Germany?
Pardon?
What were some of the things you did in Germany when you were...
In Germany?
Yeah.
Well, when I was there, my wife came with me to Germany, so she was along.
Oh, okay.
And we would go out, and my oldest daughter was born in Germany. Well, we would go out on picnics from one time to another. I mean, being in a foreign country like that, it was so, everything you go to see is nice to look at,
Yeah.
attractive. So we spent quite a few times on picnics. Then, as I mentioned, my dad and my mother had left a lot of family in Norway, and so I took a 30-day furlough and went to Norway for a visit and visited all my relatives. That was exciting, and nothing to do with war or anything like that, but
Yeah.
to my life it was something that was exciting to do.
Yeah.
So basically, I did a lot of that. And during the war, everything was a little bit more routine. We spent more time going to our places, a bit visited like the communications building, and I'd practice code and stuff like that. So we were more involved with the war going on. When the war was over, and we were involved with the occupation, well, there was no danger involved with the occupation. And so it was just different.
Yeah.
But in the same token, the Americans were always positive and kind to the people that were under them during, like, they didn't treat the Germans badly when we were friends with them. And this is something else that people don't always think about. Who's at war? Is it the people or is it the leadership? Most of the time, the leadership gets you into trouble, and the people experience the war. So when the war is over, and we didn't have any animosity towards the German people, and so we were comfortable. And I lived next door to a German couple, and the guy there he was going to college, and I speak Norwegian, and Norwegian words they roll the R's, so to speak.
Oh, yeah.
Skal du kjøre? And you can see the R's in there. Well, this German guy who was going to college, he would come over and he was studying High German. Well, High German rolled the R's, and he couldn't do that. So he would come over and I would do it for him. I would pronounce words for him. And all I'm saying is we were just friends.
Yeah.
We talked about the war. He talked about Hitler, and actually the people were thinking that Hitler was doing a good job for them. Well, somewhere along the line, they didn't realize that the good job that they were doing for him was at the cost of other countries like Poland was under their control, and different countries. And so we just talked about that, and I would say, well, Yeah, it was good for you here in Germany, but look at what it cost these people.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of time we don't think about the other guy,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't either.
Yeah.
But we would just talk about it as a means of conversation. He wasn't upset or anything. I didn't get upset about anything.
So what other stories do you have from Germany?
Pardon?
What other stories do you have from Germany?
Well, that's pretty much it. I mean,
Did you enjoy just being able to meet the locals a lot?
pardon?
Did you enjoy meeting a lot of the locals there?
Then
Did you enjoy meeting the locals there in Germany?
I still don't get you.
Did you enjoy meeting just the people in Germany and being there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you definitely saw like a lot of the world. Yeah.
It's interesting talking about it. I realized that in one essence it doesn't seem very exciting. Well, it wasn't. It was routine. There was a war going on.
So,
And this is true for a lot of people.
yeah.
There are people that suffer difficulties, especially some of the Marines that had to take these Tarawa and these places. They suffered a lot of, but again, they suffered a lot of deaths. And when somebody died, not much to talk about anymore.
Yeah.
So, do you feel that you got all the information you need?
Yeah, definitely. I just have a few more questions to close it out.
Yeah.
So when was it that your second,
Fine.
when did your second enlistment end?
When did I?
When did you come home from Germany?
Come home?
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I came home from the Philippines. Was in December of '45.
Yeah. Then,
The war was over, and then I went back and I came home again. Again, it was in December. It was the end of the year in '49.
yeah. So what did you go on to do for a living after that?
Well, I went to northern Minnesota, and I was going to begin, moved into a place I was going to do some farming, but under the GI Bill, but it didn't seem to work out so well. Well, then I got to talking to a neighbor once in a while, and he talked about Dunwoody. He said, why don't you go down and get Dunwoody? He said, they'll teach you what you need to know. So I thought, well, yeah. So that's what I did. So I went to Dunwoody.
Yeah. And did you stay in touch with old friends from...
Pardon?
Did you stay in touch with old friends from your air crew or Germany?
I still didn't get you.
Did you stay in touch with other soldiers that you served with?
No. No.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the strangest and different things I'm going to say. You talk about the Navy on a boat. There's a lot of people on there, and they get to know each other well.
Yeah.
Well, we flying like this as a crew, the only ones we got to know well was the crew. So if you didn't follow up with them, Well, then you wouldn't follow, and I didn't do that, and nobody tried to follow up with me.
Yeah.
And again, you had 4 that were officers, and we didn't generally mix with the officers. And then there was 6 enlisted men.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. There was no great for the organization we were in. There was nothing that would attract to have a get together. Like the Navy could have a boatload of people that would get together, and the Army would have. Well, they would know more. They would get together more than the Air Force. The Air Force was. They just didn't. They just didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So consequently, I never did follow up with anyone.
Yeah.
Too busy getting married and having kids and life and getting life moving on.
Yeah. So, how do you think your time in the military changed you as a person?
About the time?
How do you think your time in the military changed you as a person?
Well, I probably learned a little bit about getting along better with people. Primarily because as a kid, I was raised, we lived way back in the woods, so we didn't have a lot of outside activities, so I got to know and spend how to get along with people. I think that was probably the benefit.
Is there anything you wish that more people knew about veterans?
Pardon?
Is there anything you wish that more people knew about veterans?
I really don't get the question.
Is there anything you wish that more people knew about what happened, like, just to you and to other veterans during the
None
war?
other than what I mentioned already.
Yeah. That's about all I have then. Is there any message you'd want to leave for people who might watch this interview?
I don't know. I think we did a pretty good job of covering that thing.
All right. Yeah, then.
Like I said, in one sense, it seems he led a boring life. In a sense, that's true. But it's the kind of life that the Air Force had. If you were, because, I mean, a lot of times you'd be in a tent and they'd say, well, so-and-so had a crash. What happened to them? Well, they didn't come back. And that's about all I can say. And it was just different.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have then.
Okay.
Thank you a ton for coming to the interview.
Well, I hope you got what you needed.
I definitely did. That was very interesting and fun to hear from you. So.
Sometimes you have to look behind the lines and you realize that, boy, there was a lot behind that was easy going.
Yeah.
I mean, to sit in a plane for 8 hours, that's pretty boring. But in the same token, it's nice that you got to come back. And so there's not much to talk about it because you sit in a plane, can't do anything in a plane when you're sitting there.
Yeah.
Can't. And when you're on your way to the target, I've told you I've been a radio operator, and that's what I did. I'd have to have the hearing, and I'd keep track of what's going on the air. I'd have to give a report.
Yeah.
Well, what's upsetting about that? Not much.
Well, it had to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, hopefully you got enough that'll be helpful.
That was very good. Thank you.